a little bit of a battle because let's say Trey Hendrickson continues his dominant production.
Yeah.
Right? What happens if Joseph Osai takes the next step this year? What if he takes the next step in those limited reps? Because to be honest with you, the drafting of Shamar Stewart signifies this to me. Joseph Osai is not going to be a starter on the edge. Myles Murphy is not going to be a starter on the edge. As much as they said that was the case before, all indications are Shamar Stewart is going to play early and often. So with that being said, you're not going to get the reps out of a Myles Murphy or a Joseph Osai for them to really have those dominant numbers unless they're just absolutely putting together a freakish season. That all being said, if you're the Bengals, you're faced with a situation. Here's what I think the Bengals would do. If Trey Hendrickson puts together his dominant number, but Joseph Osai puts together a season, let's say 8 sacks or whatever the case would be, and he looks productive while doing it. Well, now, if you're the Bengals, what do? Do you re-sign Joseph Osai? Right? Because you know for a fact, David Mulligetta in Athletes First, if Joseph Osai winds up having an 8-sack season, is going to look to cash in.
Yeah.
As they should.
Yeah.
If you're the Bengals, what do? Do you re-sign Joseph Osai? It's not just that simple, right? You're probably going to have to franchise tag that guy. So now it becomes the decision. Do you franchise tag Trey? Or do you franchise tag Joseph Osai while you negotiate a deal with the younger ascending player? Logan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the frustrating part, I think, about the process to me is you don't have to be in these awkward positions that you keep putting yourself in, like voluntarily. Like that scenario that Malik just laid out perfectly for us is totally possible, totally likely. Joseph Osai looked pretty dang good down the stretch last year. Kind of surprised to see him back in the fold this year, but he is here, and there's a good chance next year, again, he's going to have even if he just produces how he did down the stretch, he's going to have a pretty good season. Then you're just putting yourself in these awkward spots that you don't have to, and that's why everything they do has been so frustrating. Yes, this Trey thing has been annoying, but I think to some degree the Bengals view him as a part of the roster. It just depends. Do they view it as in like a, hey, we're gonna extend you, or hey, we got you under control, sorry to be you kind of thing, like we got you, like sorry if you don't want to be here, well, we got you, so and that's why there's just so much like uncertainty that they could avoid. There's so many questions that they're making for themselves when you're supposed to be answering questions and limiting the gray area and doing all these things. The Bengals have always and forever been somebody that lives in the gray area, that creates more questions than there needs to be. And like, I like Joseph Osai. Is there a world I don't really see him being on the Bengals next year? Because like Malik said, even if he has a good season, even if he hasn't done, if he has a good season, he's probably going to play himself out of Cincinnati due to price. If he has a poor season, the Bengals probably don't want him anyway.
Well, you know what's weird? The Bengals have always paid pass rushers.
Mm-hmm.
They've always paid their pass rushers, or at least attempted to a degree. I think they would look at Joseph Osai and the age factor and say, hey, we would rather go with the younger guy. And I could totally see him ascending in Al Golden's defense in that style of a role, because if you look at how he was best utilized at Texas, it wasn't actually having his hand in the dirt. It was that Joseph Osai could play if they asked him to do so, because that's where he was best used at.
Yeah, and kind of just to continue to go off of that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Just that is another issue that comes to fruition, because let's say that is the case. Let's say Joseph Osai does have a good year, which, again, certainly totally possible. And no matter how you feel about it, if the Bengals decided to pay Joseph Osai over Trey Hendrickson, not a single fan in the world is going to like that. No matter if that's the complete, clear, obvious right call. Joseph Osai is great underlying metrics, great pass rush rate. Trey slows down a little bit, but still there's a team lead in sacks. Selling to your fan base that we're going to pay Joseph Osai over Trey Hendrickson is going to be a tough sell, no matter what the production is this year. So again, they're putting themselves in another position of awkwardness, another position of pissing off the fans, another position that you just don't need to put yourself in if you would just get ahead of something once or twice, or maybe just half a time. Like, you see it, like they just continue to be and live in that awkward gray area when they just don't have to.